Hello everyone, Louise here, and today I wanted to look at the comparative tense with you. Now, you probably know all about adjectives, and indeed there is another video of mine on this channel about adjectives, opposite adjectives, and we use adjectives a lot to describe lots of different things. However, the comparative and also the superlative, which we will talk about later, these adjectives are a group, a special group all to themselves. We use them only in particular situations, and it's a great way to make a sentence more meaningful than just using a normal adjective. You could ask why use a comparative adjective when you could just use a normal one. But when you're comparing two things, or more, later on we'll see that, but when you're comparing two things, it gives a sense of perspective between the different items, and it also shows the relationship between them. So it's a really good way to involve other people in conversation, or to make your conversation more interesting, because of course not everybody will agree with you. So if I said, for example, with Lidl and Aldi, oh, Lidl is better, I don't know, you might disagree with me, and then we can have a conversation about that. However, shall we look first of all at the explanation of the comparative? And you'll see in the picture at the top here we have old, older, expensive, more expensive. So we have old, older, expensive, more expensive. So two adjectives, expensive and old. And let's look at the grammar of the comparative. So we have old, older. This gentleman says, I'm 92. I'm 93. So he is old, she is older. Look at the next picture. Heavy, heavier. So 40 kilos is heavy, 50 kilos is heavier. And finally, look at the shoes. We have shoes for £70, shoes for £80. We have expensive and more expensive. So it's that older, heavier, more expensive are comparative forms. Okay, so these are the comparative. Older, heavier, more expensive. The comparative is ER, older, or more, as in more expensive. So let's look a little bit further down and we'll see A. Oh, too far, sorry. There we go. Let's look here at B. So plus ER, the first section, older, heavier, etc. So short words, that's words with one syllable, we add ER. So old becomes older. Slow becomes slower. Cheap becomes cheaper. Nice becomes nicer. Late becomes later. And big becomes bigger. Now look at the spelling of bigger. We have a double G. Let's look at the explanation for that under here. Big, bigger. Hot, hotter. Thin, thinner. Okay, where you have the vowel and the consonant, we double it. We double G here, a double T here, and a double N there. For spelling words that end in Y, adjectives that end in Y, we add IER. So easy becomes easier, IER. Heavy with a Y becomes heavier. And early becomes earlier. So look at the examples here. Rome is old, but Athens is older. Is it cheaper to go by car or by train? Again, not more old, not more cheap. Ignore this. Helen wants a bigger car. This coat is okay, but I think the other one is nicer. And the last one, don't write a letter, it's easier to phone. Not more easy. And I know I hear that a lot in the classroom. It's not good. Better, it's easier to phone. Now look at an exception here with far. Far becomes further. Look at the spelling. F-U-R-T-H-E-R. How far is it to the station? A mile? No, it's further. About 2 miles. Okay, so that's B. Let's have a look at C. Now, we looked at the short words with 1 syllable in B. Now let's look at the long words. Long words having 2 or 3 or 4 syllables. In that situation, we use more. So, careful becomes more careful. Polite, more polite. Expensive, 3 syllables, becomes more expensive. Interesting, more interesting. And the examples, you must be more careful. I don't like my job. I want to do something more interesting. And the question with it, is it more expensive to go by car or by train? So far we've seen with 1 syllable, we add ER. If it ends in Y, it becomes IER. Far, further was an exception there. With long words that have 2, 3, 4 syllables, we put more. Now, how about some exceptions? Because there are always exceptions in English. You have good and well become better. Bad becomes worse. So the weather wasn't very good yesterday, but it's better today. Do you feel better today? No, I feel worse. Which is worse, a headache or a toothache? Okay, so let's have a little look at the next section. So the next section, now where we have than, where we compare our 2 things. So look at the picture A. You've got this girl here and this boy. So she is tall. She says, I'm taller than you. So she is taller than the boy. Look at this one here. The Europa Hotel is £90. The Grand Hotel is £85.50. So the Europa Hotel is more expensive than the Grand. SuperValu Supermarket is more expensive than Lidl. For example, look at the examples here. We use than after comparatives, older than, more expensive than, etc. So Athens is older than Rome. Are oranges more expensive than bananas? It's easier to phone than to write a letter. Look at the spelling here. Easy. The Y has become IER. You remember we said that? Where adjectives end in Y, they change to the IER in the comparative. Next one. How are you today? Not bad. Better than yesterday. The restaurant is more crowded than usual. So 3 words in that case for the comparison. Let me just put down a little more. How about B? We say than me, than him, than her, than us, than them. You can say, I can run faster than him. or I can run faster than he can. You are a better singer than me, or you are a better singer than I am. And the last one, I got up earlier than her, or I got up earlier than she did. She did because got is the past tense. Okay, so look at C with me. You have more or less than. So question, how much did your shoes cost? £30? No, more than that. That equals more than £30. The film was very short, less than an hour. They've got more money than they need. And the last one, you go out more than me. Okay, now if we want to talk about little differences in the comparison, how about we look at a bit older and much older. So look at box A and box B. Box A is bigger, but marginally so. So we say box A is a bit bigger than box B. Box A is a bit bigger than box B. Look at C and D. Box C is much bigger than box D. So box C is much bigger than box D. Now we use these a bit and much to show a difference in the comparison, or to show my opinion. If I said, for example, oh, little is, I don't know, little is more expensive. No, not little. SuperValu is more expensive than little. You might say, oh, SuperValu is much more expensive. Again, in conversation, this is quite a useful form, a bit and much. So you have a bit bigger, a bit older, a bit better, a bit more difficult, a bit more expensive. Much bigger, much older, much better, much more difficult, much more expensive than. So you have Canada is much bigger than France. France is big, but Canada is much bigger. Jill is a bit older than Gary. She's 25 and he's 24 and a half. So a little bit bigger, a little bit older. Beg pardon. The hotel was much more expensive than I expected. So I expected €20. The hotel was €100. It was much more expensive. And the last one, you go out much more than me. Okay, so let's have a little look at some exercises. And for the exercises, we look at part 2. Okay, thank you.